Thank you and welcome everyone this evening. Going to have any declarations of conflict of interest? I see none. Adoption of the published agenda. Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bondi. Councillor Kexero.
I'd like to add some PR announcements to new business at the end. I've got some announcements through Communities in Bloom and ACT.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bondi.
I'd also like to add an item under new business, a thank you letter or a congratulations letter to Sandra Smeltzer for getting this $80,000 scholarship from council.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes of April the 7th, regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Kexero. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Adoption of the meetings minutes from March the 31st, 2015. Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Kexero. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Meeting minutes from March the 30th, 2015, Court of Revision. Moved by Mayor McDermott, supported by Councillor Kexero. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Moving of the minutes from April 2nd, 2015, Special Council meeting. Moved by Councillor Kexero, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? I see none. All in favor? That's carried. Meeting of April 7th, 2015, Special Council meeting. Moved by Councillor Kexero, supported by Councillor Snively. All in favor? It's carried. Meeting of April 7th, 2015, Special Council meeting to discuss Harrow District High School. Moved by Councillor Kexero, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. We're on to public presentations. And our first group here this evening is the Essex Ravens Adam Minor Hockey Team. Just give you a little bit of background here. The Ontario Minor Hockey Association champions these folks are. And we're going to have the mayor go up and take a picture with you guys in a few minutes. But on behalf of the Council of the Town of Essex, our Mayor Ron McDermott and your Council congratulate you on your recent accomplishment winning the Ontario Minor Hockey Association Championship and for representing our town with pride and sportsmanship. So thank you very much. Let's give these guys a round of applause. And we'd like to have all of the team, you guys got your medals on, so if you can come up in front of the council desk here, we're going to have the mayor stand out here in front with you guys and take a picture. We want the coaches as well. Supposed to be 17 players and 4 coaches. The Mayor McDermott would like to say a few words before you guys leave, if that's okay.
I haven't got much of a voice, and part of the reason is probably because I was cheering so hard for you guys and the Adam Majors. We also had the same division as these guys, only a year older. The Adam Majors made it to the finals against Uxbridge, the same team that these guys beat, same town, I should say. And they came within a whisker of making it clean sweep in the Adam division, so they also need a round of applause. And you guys, next thing you know, you're going to be playing for the 73s, right? Way to go.
On to our second presentation here tonight. Yeah, we'll hold up for a minute if you want to leave. Okay, we got the final people exiting, so we have Caden Blair here this evening, and Caden is the honorary president of Caden's Dream, and he appeared before council back to be a donor flag back in the day, and we want Caden to come up and talk to us a little bit.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and residents of Essex. I am Caden Blair, a 12-year liver transplant recipient, and the founder and president of Caden's Dream. April 27th has been declared Caden Blair Organ Donation Awareness Day. I am both humbled and honored by this. I am asking that a beer donor flag will be raised on this special day. This flag is a symbol of hope to those waiting, a symbol of heroism to those families who love, lost, and donated. To me and other transplanted recipients, it represents life, a life made possible because of organ donation. In the past 2 years, Essex registered donor rates have increased from 18 to 32%. My goal this year is to make it a majority. On May 2nd, the second annual Caden's Dream Walk will take place. Please join me and support organ and tissue donation and help me light up the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Caden, and congratulations again on all your work. Just before you leave here, we've maybe got some questions from council members here. So Councillor Bjorkman's first.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Caden, welcome back. I wasn't a councillor last year when you were here, but I remember sitting up there and listening, and my wife has a store uptown, and you and your friends and your parents and other friends were all up there decorating the day before, getting everything green, and you guys put a lot of effort into it, and you had a great turnout. It was a really great march that they had, and so I'm really proud of what you're doing and what you're doing for the town of Essex. Probably most of us know somebody who's had some kind of organ transplant, and we have in our family experienced that on both sides. And it's a great thing you're doing, the awareness you're bringing, and I wish you luck to get us over 50%.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Caden, correct me if I'm wrong, last time you were here, didn't you approach the bench and we gave you a contribution?
Yep.
Like, are you shaving now? Like, you're a full-grown man now, because last time you come here, you were like that. I can't believe how much you've grown since the last time I seen you. Wow. Wow. Can you beat, is that your old man with you?
Yep.
Can you beat him in an arm wrestle? Take him on right now. Take him on in an arm wrestle. Huh? Okay, take care.
Any further questions or comments from council? Caden, thank you again for coming in front of us this evening. So flag raising is going to happen on April 27th. And you're going to bring the flag?
Yes.
Okay. And I think our director, Doug Sweet, here is going to be the person that you're going to be in contact with. And I think you probably already know that. Okay? Councillor Vokes.
Last time you come up, Caden, and you got some money from us, so I have a willingness again to contribute $20 towards, and I'm asking all the council match that, if we could. I'll match that. So come on up and get it tonight.
Come on up, Caden.
Thank
Better
you.
get it now while you can. I don't know, but. Thanks again, Caden. I need a motion from council to receive Caden's, moved by Councilor Kexero, supported by Councilor Bjorkman. All in favor? That's carried. Our next presentation is GDF Suez Canada, Inc., Blue Sky Wind Power Project, and we have Bonnie Hiltz and John Fournier. They have Jay Wilger down here as well, but I'm taking it there's just the two of you.
That's right, it'll just be the two of us this evening.
Okay, thank you. There's a speaker button, a purple button there. Perfect, you got it on.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you, Mayor and councillors and city officials for your time today. My name is Bonnie Hiltz. This is John Fournier. We're with GDF Suez, and we're here today to talk to you about a project in the Essex area, Blue Sky Wind. So GDF Suez is an international energy company. In Canada, we have nearly 800 megawatts of energy. Most of that is renewables. We do own and operate the West Windsor cogeneration facility nearby here in Windsor. We also own the Harrow, Erio, East Lake St. Clair facility and the Pointe Rush. Those facilities are various projects that were under development by AIM Power Gen, Ventus, and International Power. And so they are now operated by ourselves, GDF Suez. So we do have a history with the town of Essex, mostly with the development of the Harrow Wind project. So we have, with the development of that project, we've entered into various agreements with the town of Essex, road use agreements and community benefit agreements. There's an annual contribution budget to the city and to the community where we donate a number of funds to various charity events and tree planting and so forth. So we do have a history in Essex, and we have been engaged in the community on various projects. So we're here today to talk to you about the Blue Sky Wind project. So Blue Sky Wind project is a 30 to 90 megawatt wind facility. It would be located to the southwest of the town of Essex. The project is in the very early stages, so it's not a contracted facility. It hasn't started the approvals process. It's very early stages. We are in discussions with landowners now, upwards of 100 plus landowners for the facility, and we're finalizing those agreements with landowners now. The project, so the plan for the project is the provincial government is undertaking a procurement, a large energy procurement currently, to contract for various types of renewable energy projects, wind, solar, hydro, and so forth. The current schedule would have the procurement, so it's open now. The bids would be due later in September, so it's still early stages, and the project obviously would be conditional on being successful in that competitive procurement process in order to proceed. So it's, like I said, it's not a contracted facility. It's still early stages of development, but we're here today to update you in kind of activities in your area and the current status of the project. So the large renewable procurement, the structure is quite different than procurements that the independent electricity system operator has done before. So it's a competitive process, number one, so that is quite different. And there are certain design elements of the procurement that are meant to encourage community engagement, municipal engagement. It has incentives for agreements with municipalities and landowners and so forth. So the emphasis on that procurement really is on early stage consultations throughout the early design process. And so that we're here trying to initiate that project with the city now. So there's a map there. It's not a very detailed map, as I said. It's still in very early stages of development. So we haven't finalized a layout. We haven't even come close to finalizing a layout. We don't even have all the options lined up yet. But as I said, it's to the southwest of the town of Essex, which is where most of the turbines would be located. And the draft schedule currently, this is an estimated of the current timeline. So discussions with council that we're starting now, they would continue throughout the design of the facility, and as we finalize plans preparing for that bid. We would undertake a public community meeting. So that's a meeting that's separate from the requirements of the renewable energy approval process. So there are usually 2 public meetings associated with that project. Those community meetings would take place later should the project be awarded a contract. So this is an earlier stage public consultation that would take place. We haven't set an exact date. We're aiming for around July for that meeting to take place. And again, it's to try to get public input at the early stages and the design stage of the project. And then the procurement bid due date would be on September 1st. And so only at that time, if the project would be successful in that procurement process, would the other permits and approvals and public consultations take place at that point. So the project is aiming for a commercial operation date around 2018 or 2019, again, if it's successful in that process. So in terms of next steps, we're here today to ask your permission to continue dialogue with the city, with councillors and with planning officials. We're looking to update you on the status of the project. As we said, we're in discussions with landowners. We're planning a public meeting, and so we want you to be aware of those activities. We want to be able to continue working with staff on the underground collector line and connection lines and routing through municipal rights of way. We'd like to initiate conversations about a road use agreement and possible community benefit agreement as well. So that concludes the formal part of the presentation. We're happy to field questions.
Thank you. Questions, Councillor? Councillor Kexero?
Through you, Deputy Mayor Meloche, who is the approval authority now for the projects? Is it still the province or is it the municipality?
So for the renewable energy approval, so that provincial environmental approval would be the province that takes care of that approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Further to that, I just want to mention, because I have been contacted via email, I think, and I think council would agree, for communication purposes, I prefer to do it in a full council setting versus 1 or 2 councillors meeting with the group. I know there's been some attempt to do that. I think that can be viewed in different ways. I think it's just a little more professional, I think, if we meet in this type of a setting for any type of discussion.
Sure. We're happy to meet in any forum you decide. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Vokes?
What are some of the other regions throughout Ontario looking like in terms of wind energy? Is it the envelope constantly moving forward, the other municipalities constantly developing in terms of where we are as to what they're doing today?
I mean, they are. I'm not as familiar with some of the other projects going forward in this procurement process. So certainly, in this procurement that's happening right now, it's up to 300 megawatts of wind for this. They're calling it the Large Renewable Procurement 1, so it's a first phase. And they're also planning a second phase procurement for next year, which will also be 300 megawatts. So over the next couple of years, there will be approximately 600 megawatts of wind in Ontario being developed.
Just to add, there are certain areas that are, they call them orange zones, where there's not transmission capacity to connect any project, so those areas are excluded from this process intentionally.
It's always been my position will continue. I think in terms of what you're here for tonight, where the dialogue continues, that dialogue needs to continue. That's only my opinion, though. I was a strong advocate, obviously, of you being here tonight, and I think those discussions should continue when the opportunity arises, if there's opportunity.
Thank you.
Councillor Kexero.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Malash. Just a curiosity question. It's, to the best of my knowledge, the majority of what we're producing is not being used, obviously, in Essex County. It's being transported probably primarily to Toronto. I guess my biggest question is, because I know as a homeowner, price of hydro has not gone down in the last 15 years. It's gone tremendously up. I can't imagine that transporting the energy from southwestern Ontario to Toronto is cheaper than if you were producing it closer to Toronto. I guess the question would be, why is it that the province hasn't looked at maybe producing the energy closer to where it's going to be primarily used to cut down on the cost? Further to that, the other kind of interesting thing that I've heard bits and pieces, you guys may be able to clarify some of it. It seems to me that I've heard that in a lot of cases we're generating more than what we need. That energy, that electricity is being shipped out either at very, very cheap rates or even at a cost to us. I wonder, what the theory is behind creating more renewable energy if what we're producing now is already too much. And I wonder what kind of thought process was put into place as far as back when we had that blackout quite some time ago, there was a real push for people to conserve. Was there any projections done as to what we may need if people were going to conserve? Because I think people are conserving, and it seems as though we're still trying to kind of create an overabundance of energy, and I feel we're kind of footing a bill that we shouldn't be footing.
So, I mean, I can't comment in terms of the provincial policy and targets. I know their planners have, in consultation with the Ministry of Energy, set these targets in terms of the total number of megawatts. I know the planners are comfortable with the amount of capacity that the grid can accommodate. It's true at certain times Ontario does export some of its power, but there are a number of things happening to the grid over time in terms of nuclear refurbishment and so forth, and so those are all things that the planners take into account when they're planning the grid. So.
Thank you. Councillor Bondi.
Thank you. Well, I'm certainly not going to beat around the bush. I believe that wind turbines are very contentious. And it's unfortunate that the Harrow Wind Farm is where it is, because I'd prefer to see the Harrow Wind Farm is where you're proposing. That being said, I also believe that the municipality of Essex is saturated with wind turbines at this point. You won't be getting my support in any way. And I'm a young one. I'm a green energy, but I can't endorse something I don't know about. I'll tell you this, a couple months ago, believe it or not, I'm not crazy. A couple of months ago, I talked to the deputy mayor, and this is at 12 o'clock at night, and I couldn't sleep because of the whoop whoop noise. And I'm telling you, we have residents that come to council, and they're not crazy, because I wasn't crazy and I wasn't drinking. So I find them to be disruptive. I find there to be a lack of public consultation. So I'm glad you're here now. Hopefully we can get lots of public consultation. I want to ask you, what is your ask from us? Is it going to be a municipal support letter, a municipal agreement? And I really hope that you give some thought to the municipal compensation package or whatever that is, because the last time your group, I believe, came forward, those are some questions that I had. You know, was there recent public consultation? And it was like, well, yes, but since then we've changed the scope of the project, and there was no new recent public consultation. So that upset me. I also would like to know how many turbines is 300, or the megawatts you're proposing is how many turbines? For the first phase, and then there's a second stage, right? So I'd like to know the
Okay.
amount, please.
Yep. So just to be clear, for this project, we're not planning a first phase and second phase. That was for
Oh, okay.
the procurement process. There's a first
Okay.
phase and second phase. This is a project we're planning to bid into that first phase competitive procurement, just to be clear. With respect to your question on the amount of capacity, frankly, that hasn't been determined in terms of the number of turbines and so forth. I mean, our very point being, this is very early stage, and we wanted to get in front of you and chat with you, engage with you early on before all of that is set. So, you know, I regret your comments in terms of your support. I hear you. I would still like to meet with you to talk about, as we are in this early stage, what some of the planning considerations might be if you're willing to talk to them about us, because it is the time now. Nothing has been set in stone. It's still very early stages, so that is still. And in terms of your question about what we're here for today, we're not seeking a resolution today. I think quite simply we're doing three things. One is to update council in terms of the project, make sure you're aware of the project and early stages and the activities that will be happening in the municipality. We'd like to seek your permission to continue discussing possible road use agreements with the city, and also a community benefit agreement, which is, as you talked about, what type of kind of support, funding support agreement could be put into place. So I think those three things today.
Okay, thank you. So that brings me to my next question. I think as a council, perhaps we, and I don't know if we can possibly answer this tonight. Obviously, I feel I can answer this for myself tonight. But as a council, do we want to dedicate staff time and resources to a project that we possibly might not support when it comes to fruition, when it comes back? I don't know. You know, do we want our engineers and our planners going on a wild goose chase if council doesn't support it? I know it could be close. I know there could be 5 supporting it and 2 not, but it's something that I think as a council early on, we should consider whether we're going to get behind and support it 100%. Or not support it, because, you know, we have a lot of limited resources in our town, and I don't want staff working on things that council doesn't endorse. And I am glad you're here. Thank you for coming. But, and personally, I like Councillor Caxero said, you know, one-on-one meetings certainly aren't appropriate. I remember the last time I had a coffee with one of the gentlemen from your group. He said it was inappropriate for him to pay for my coffee, but then he left without paying for his. So that's all.
Councillor Bjorkman.
With your indulgence, I'd like to let Councillor Folks go ahead first.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councillor Bjorkman. I appreciate that, because I believe Councillor Bjorkman is going to put closing comments in. So I got to tell you respectfully, sometimes I think we're missing our mark in terms of wind energy, because I would really like to see an incentive out there right out of your office, if I could, stretch out that olive branch that you put a fact sheet together for a presentation such as this, because there's so many fallacies out there. There's a host of fallacies out there when it comes to wind energy. I live right across the road from a bank of wind turbines. On a good day, I could throw a hard ball and hit them. I could take a 9-iron for sure and hit them. I guarantee you. I don't hear the lopping. I like to believe I'm relatively healthy still. I don't hear my neighbors complaining. It's, you know what it is? It's NIMBY. It's not in my backyard, so I get no money for it, so I'm going to raise a little hell about it. That's the bottom line of it. And I got to tell council, if you've been following it, Health Canada just done a report where we all as taxpayers at a federal level paid millions of dollars for that report. You know what the report says. The report says there's no adverse health conditions from wind energy. None. None to be discovered. None. And in terms of moving forward with studies and reports, we do studies and reports today as a council that generate absolutely no revenue for us. We only pay for the report. These studies, these reports, tably, if we were on board and it made sense, could generate revenue. So I don't abolish the fact of hearing, you know, what you have moving forward, keeping an open mind to it. I'll be straightforward with you. It doesn't mean that we're going to roll the red carpet out, but if it makes sense at the end of the day, we should be in representing people fairly, because we're only one individual and we represent all of the municipality. And we try to do it as fair as we can, but my views are not necessarily that of all the municipality. And unless I have that report and that study and that direction, I'm not making a fair choice on behalf of all those I represent. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm sure Councillor Bjorkman, but I wanted to make that point. Fact sheets are key. And I would have loved to seen here to some being handed out to this council tonight on your history, what you've done, and what the current statuses look like. Because I see questions, by the way, and I'll end it at this. Everybody doesn't think about the future in terms of green energy. They're all thinking about today. I haven't seen my hydro bill go down. Well, you haven't seen the cost recovery yet. You won't see your hydro bill go down until the cost recovery is there. So I'll just leave it at that, and I appreciate you coming to us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Bjorkman.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. Again, thank you very much for coming out tonight and just talking with us and presenting us with where you're at. I don't know a lot about wind energy. I wasn't on council last time. I've been learning more as I go along. I spend a lot of time in the county at different friends' houses, people that I know that live in the county. And my personal experience is I don't have a lot of negative experience with it, but I need facts to go on. So it's great that you've presented this to us, and you've come to talk to us, and I believe the right thing for us to do, because it is such a big industry, and it is such a big decision, is that we allow our administration to speak to it, and I would like to move that we receive the report and allow the continued communication between our administration and Blue Sky Wind Power, and that you could come back and see us as a council with what Councillor Vokes has brought forward, I think would be appropriate.
Councillor Snively.
Yes, I'll keep it short. I just have a question. I've had, as a councillor, I've had lots of complaints.
Councillor Snively, hang on one second. I believe Councillor Bjorkman made a motion. Okay.
Well,
Sorry, continue.
okay. I've had a lot of feedback on wind turbines, and I have mixed feelings on them. You can hear them. There's one right in my in-laws' backyard. They don't own the farm anymore, but on a lot of days you can sit there and you can hear it. My question to you is there any change coming in the setbacks of these wind turbines? What I understand is what I researched, they're not going to change any of the setbacks. Is that right?
So what I can say is, from the provincial perspective, I don't think that the requirements on the provincial level are set to change. But what we're here today to talk about, and especially, as I said, in this early stage, before the layout is done, is to talk to planning staff to see, to seek input, essentially, on that layout as it takes place.
Well, my answer to that would be this. If there would be no change in the setbacks, I couldn't support wind energy at all. I couldn't support it. Thank you.
Councillor Vokes.
I hear everybody say that. It kind of, in all due respect to Councillor Snively, it irritates me a little bit. And that's in terms of, I hear them. I hear that. I hear, no pun intended, but I hear that all the time, that I hear them. Well, I hear trucks, I hear cars, I hear motorcycles, I hear airplanes, I hear my wife yelling at me periodically. I hear lots of stuff. So to say that I'm going to discard a energy opportunity and a revenue opportunity because I hear them, I hear them. I go right here on number 3 bypass, right outside the store. Go stand in the front yard right now. Trucks will go by, motorcycles. So We gonna get hold of ministry and ask them to stop vehicles from migrating around? Because I can hear them. They're not that loud, people. It's not like it's not like the NASA space shuttle taking off.
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you. Thank you for the motion, Councillor Bjorkman. I think this is kind of what I was asking for earlier, because at this point, we will either support the motion or not support the motion. I would also ask for a recorded vote for this motion. I want to make it known that I support green energy. I support recycling, waste management, green initiatives, solar panels, but I do not support selling surplus to the states where we're taking a loss. I do not support increases in our hydro rates. I do not support making Essex more saturated than turbines than other municipalities than we need to be. You know, I feel like in terms of right now, we have our fair share of green energy initiatives. So with that being said, this motion just means you're either going to support our staff investigating further, which, if the motion passes at the end of the day, isn't a bad thing. But as it stands, we either support our staff doing more legwork or not, and that's it. So I will not be supporting the motion, and I would like a recorded vote.
Any comment from anybody that has not spoke? I'll just make a last comment. I'm going to be voting not in favor of the motion as well. I know Councillor Vokes perhaps hasn't had residents that have complained. I have had residents complain from Harrow and from Essex about the noise. And I'm not going to go into a long explanation, but I think it is a waste of our administration's time if we are not going to be in favor of this going forward. We know how burdened our administration is already at this point in time. Councillor Snively mentioned setbacks. The town's not able to negotiate setbacks. That is something that's set by the province. We're not allowed to negotiate where these wind turbines will be placed, how many, etc. That's something that once we approve, then they move forward the way they want to move forward. The province has already spelled that out. So with that said, recorded vote. Sorry, Councillor Caxero.
Could I hear the motion? Because I'm not clear on what the motion is.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, second by Councillor Vokes, that the presentation by GDF Suez Can Inc. Business and Development Representatives, Bonnie Hiltz and John Fournier, providing council with the status of the proposed Blue Sky wind power project and to notify them of their intention to bid this project into the current independent electricity system operator, RFP, in September 2015 be received, and that further meetings be held to keep council apprised of the project. Councillor Bondi? Opposed. Councillor Vokes? Support. Councillor Bjorkman?
Support.
Councillor Caxero?
Support.
Councillor Snively? Mayor McDermott? Deputy Mayor Malash? With a recorded vote of 4 in support of and 3 opposed, the motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move up under the reports from administration, and that is it H, Doug? Report number H, Community Services, High Five Accreditation Verification. Can I have a motion to move? That's moved by Mayor McDermott and supported by Councillor Bjorkman. All in favor? That's carried. And I'm going to ask Director Doug Sweet to come up to the front here.